Welcome to the Leading Second podcast, a space to help church leaders thrive in the second chair. The Leading Second podcast releases every Thursday morning, so subscribe and share this with your team. Now let's jump into another episode for all of us who lead from the middle.
Well, Leading Second, welcome back to Season 8 of the Leading Second podcast. My name is Brandon Stewart. We're so excited to have you with us today. If you lead from the middle in any capacity, we have created Leading Second for you. We want to help you thrive in the second chair, and today's podcast is to that end. And I'm joined right from the jump with a couple brilliant members of our Leading Second Build coaching team. Pastor Jodi Cameron, say what's up to everybody today.
Hey, everybody.
I love you, my friend. We're still doing this together a lot of years later. This is fun.
Oh, man, just keep coming at it. Let's go.
How many of these have we done over the years for all the mentoring programs and the...
I can't even, yeah. Wait, it goes way past, like, I don't even want to say it because then I'll reveal how old I am. So,
yeah, exactly.
We've done a lot.
I love you, and I love your voice and your perspective. So glad you're here today. And then we have a newer member to our coaching team, Joseph Kelley is back from Oklahoma City. Say what's up.
It's good to be here. Happy to be back.
Welcome. I love that we get to do ministry together. I turned around at a conference one time and said hello to you or prayed for you during kind of one of those altar call moments, like put your hand on your neighbor and pray. And we actually kept in touch from that moment, oddly.
Yeah.
And I've loved having you in our world.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Well, we're going to have a great conversation today. And if this conversation adds value to you and you want to share it with your team, I want to encourage you to head to leadingsecond.com/podcast. Today's episode is powered by Pulpit AI, and we have some discussion questions there that you can use with your team if you would like to take this forward. And now for the big guns, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome to Leading Second and to the podcast a new friend, but I can already tell we're going to be good friends here. Ken Hester from LifeFamily Church in Austin, Texas. Say hello to everybody, my friend.
Hey, Brandon, guys, how's it going? It's great to be here and hang out with you guys for a little bit, have a good conversation. Thanks for having me on, and welcome from Austin.
Yeah, so glad you're here. One of my favorite cities in the nation. By the way, we got connected through our good mutual friend, Pastor Larry Bry from Elevation.
That's right.
And tell us a little bit about your journey in ministry. You spent some time with LB in Charlotte at Elevation.
Yeah. I think, ministry has always been within me, probably because my dad was a pastor, grew up in the church, experiencing him and doing that, and being on church staff at a young age as well. And then had the incredible opportunity of coming on side by side with LB and Elevation in 2012. Started our conversation with them really in 2008. So it was a bit of a journey there as well for us to just be called to that. But it was awesome, and spent some time with him. And he's such a great leader, empowerer, developer, challenger. And so that's how we got connected as well. So he's also a good connector, right? So he's like,
all the best.
Brandon, you need to get connected with Ken. Ken, you need to get connected with Brandon. And so here we are.
And we love your church. Pastor Randy Phillips there. Y'all have an incredible church, multi-site church across the city there.
Yeah. So LifeFamily Austin is in the middle of Austin and the surrounding parts of Austin. So we have 7 campuses. I have the opportunity to be on the executive team and oversee kind of leadership development and expansion. And I've been in that role now for 2 years, and we love it. We love seeing the potential within the church. We also love partnering with other churches. And that's another kind of side story of how we've helped support other ministries, and Leading Second being a part of that just a few years ago. We're glad to partner in any and every way we can to advance the church.
That is such a wild story. I guess it's worth telling. Podcasts are for stories. We were doing our first Leading Second camp event in 2022. So I've hosted conferences for my pastor, for team church, all of that. But this was Leading Seconds first. Like, we were nervous as all get out. We were just amazed that anybody came, like anybody besides my mom was there. It was kind of how it felt. I want to say we had like 35 states represented. I mean, it was just a really special, potent little gathering. Anyways, about a week out from the event, we were homeless for one of our pre-conference events. We had this dinner with LB that we were doing, and the hotel we were at couldn't accommodate it. And we're homeless, and I didn't know what to do. I just threw a Hail Mary pass to a friend who was at your church at the time. Just threw a Hail Mary pass and was like, what can we do? What should we do? And your church opened your doors at one of your beautiful locations and served our ministry, whom none of you knew, at the time. And then I show up to your church for my event a few minutes before the event starts. And your pastor, Pastor Randy Phillips, is at the door greeting of my event.
That sounds about right.
I felt like the biggest heel. I was so humbled. And first of all, amazing character and the generosity there. But I just thought, I am the biggest heel right now. But that just speaks to who he is and who your church is.
That happens a lot. Pastor Randy's heart for people is just that. He's always going to ask you about your kids. He's always going to ask you about your wife.
So good.
And he's going to remember, which is a gift in and of itself as well, with as many things as he's overseeing and as many times as he's been on tour with Phillips, Craig, and Dean or
right.
whatever. It's like, okay, how you remember people, it shows how much he cares, which is awesome.
Brilliant. Okay, today we want to kick off what I think over the course of the year is going to be a few conversations on the topic of empowerment. I can't think of a coaching call I've had recently where this didn't come up. I've met and worked with too many second chair leaders who want to make a difference, want to have an impact, but just sometimes don't know how to do it. Can I make a call? Can I not make a call? Can I do this? Can I not do that? I think we want to help. We want to add value to the vision, but sometimes I think we can struggle with knowing empowerment. What do I do if I'm unclear on my role? Can I make this decision or not? Those things. So I'm just excited to hear from you a bit about that. Let's just dive in. Have you ever found yourself in a place like that where you've wanted to make an impact on the vision, but you were unsure if you had the empowerment to do so? Have you ever been there? What was that like for you?
Yeah.
In your years in the second chair?
Not one time. I have not. No, I'm just kidding. I think that is the constant struggle, whether whatever role you may be in as a student pastor, as a campus pastor, as a support staff, or an executive. I feel like that tension is there all the time. How do I make a decision? Do I have the right to make that decision? Right. Is it the right decision? And what are the kind of implications of that decision, right? Do I understand that this is going to be a good thing or a bad thing? Do I understand what it may fail?
What if I was going to say, what if I fail doing it?
It's all of those things. And so I think that the tension that you face there is even this lane mine to make that decision? How many different ways do I have to, or checks and balances do I have to go in making that decision? And I think when we're on the highway of ministry, knowing which lane, as I'm in Austin, Texas, we got I-35, right? It's like 35 can be one lane or it can be 7 lanes, depending on where you're at. And to navigate each piece of that, you got to know which lane that you're in and which decisions you're able to make and which ways you need to turn on your signal in order for someone else to know that you're coming into their lane. And that's where I feel like that's the tension that we all manage in whatever role, in a support role that we're in.
I-35 needs to probably be 20 lanes in Austin. And
it's a great example, though, of being in leadership. Like the flexibility.
Maybe this is our sermon now. I'm like, well, how do you collaborate? Because I got to get over.
Yeah.
I love it. That's so good. Especially as you manage those tensions and the longer you're in ministry and maybe the higher you move in an organization, there's one of the things that we talk about a lot is that you can feel like you have all of the power in one room and yet none in the next. And so how do you manage that tension of feeling that can change from moment to moment, season to season? And with that, if you'll speak to how do you manage that lack of understanding or maybe even lack of agreement throughout that type of tension?
Yeah. I believe that clarity is king for those
Yes.
tensions and,
Yes.
and opportunities, right? So if I walk into a room and I'm not sure, usually I stay quiet, right? Like I think too often in church world, especially, we kind of come in, I've been invited to the room, so I've got something to say. And although you've been invited to the room and you will have opportunity to say, maybe you just need to listen a little bit to gain some context, to gain some understanding of what you're
That's great.
speaking into before you speak. And if I can have that clarity, and again, I may be invited to a room. I've been invited to your room today for this podcast, but I sought out an opportunity to understand where we were going here before we started this conversation, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Somebody
That's
that
good.
works with you set me up for success going into this meeting so that we could have a great conversation. But if I didn't get that from him,
Right.
then I would have been seeking out that clarity.
Yes.
And it's that responsibility that I think you need in your support role, whatever role that is, again, executive level all the way down. How can I gain clarity in
Very
knowing
good.
what I should speak into and what I shouldn't?
That's great.
Very good.
When I think this could be like a personality thing, right? But just in terms of your own experience, and then maybe also speaking a little bit to people that you have served under, and maybe even people that you've served over, like what do you do when you have those moments when you lack clarity about your role? You're saying seek clarity, like ask for clarity, but maybe just give us some tangible, like things that people could really put their hands on in terms of what they could do as a process. So maybe speak to, what you've done when you are seeking clarity from people who are serving, that
Great,
you're
Jodi.
serving. And
Yeah.
then maybe just also give us the other side of
That's
the
great.
coin of what you would love people to do who are serving you, and that because a
Sure.
lot of us are second chair leaders, and yes, we have people that we're serving, but we also have people that are kind of under us, and so maybe just talk about both sides of that coin. What do people do in moments when they lack that clarity? Like, what does that seeking clarity look like?
Yeah. Yeah. I try to give open space in my one-on-ones. I try to ask for open space in my one-on-ones. So again, whether I'm meeting with Pastor Randy in a one-on-one, or I've got somebody that I'm meeting with, a campus pastor or another a ministry leader that I'm meeting with, I say, what is it that you need from me to make your role or your responsibility more clear? Right. So, or make my role, my responsibility more clear. And just asking that question and giving space to your leader will bring the clarity that you need. Or asking that question, or having making sure that you're asking that question down as well. Is there anything as a leader that I can make more clear for you? And in that one-on-one frame, it's hard to ask that question when you walk into a room with 7 people, right? Like all the campus pastors or all
That's
the
right.
student
Yeah.
leaders or whoever it is like, I'm just going to try to make sure that I don't mess up. But if you ask that in a one-on-one scenario, then you're going to gain the clarity that you need in order to make the best decision moving forward, and in knowing when to speak and knowing what to speak into. I think the second piece of that is starting with the why versus the what.
Very
So
good.
a lot of times we go, this is what you need to do, and this is what you need to make sure happens. And if we don't understand the why behind what we're doing, then it really, that clarity becomes a more foggy.
Yeah. I want to speak to asking for clarity for a minute, because I would imagine there's going to be leaders out there who don't want to look weak.
Sure.
And so I don't want somebody to know I'm unclear or I don't want them to, I don't know, whatever the motive would be for somebody. I just think there's probably lurking language in our hearts out
Mhm.
there. Would you agree with me that those are myths, that those aren't true? I feel like leaders appreciate when you
Mhm.
can seek clarity on maybe priorities. Pastor, what's most important to you?
Yes.
in this season.
But I think what I just was going to add, I think what Ken said though, is part of it is timing, right? So it's that I think that we don't want to look weak, and we finding the right timing, because like when you're in the middle of the game, on a Sunday,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
instance,
Yeah.
and in the middle of the hot seat and you're trying to seek clarity, that's probably not the best time to do it. So yeah, maybe speak to that.
Yeah, I try to, as a leader, I try to ask questions in the moment, like you said, on a game day, on Sunday, or on a Wednesday, whenever you're meeting. Is this I have to fix this right now, or is this something that you want fixed in the future? I ask myself that question.
Very good.
And then I
Very
ask that
good.
question up as
Yeah.
well. So I might be frustrated right now in the moment, but is this something that I should fix right now, or is this something I should fix moving forward? And then I ask that question to my leader as well, because they go, oh, well, the mic's not right, or this or that or whatever. Okay, do you want me to fix that right now, or is this something you want me to fix and get with our production team moving forward? And those little questions of you're not asking questions to question their authority. You're asking
Right.
questions out of clarity, right? And setting that tone is also key. Is like, I'm just trying to better understand what the win is. And if the win is fixing this right now, I'm absolutely on it, right? As you've heard probably from different speakers and friends that we have, like run to the fire, like run to ram the gate, whatever it is, like get to it right now, fix it right now.
Yeah.
Great. But not every moment is like that. And so if we can ask those clarifying questions, that will help you lead better, and it'll help your leader lead you better.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Let's talk for a minute about decision making. So just run us through a scenario, and I'd love to hear how you'd handle it. A leader has a decision to make, and they might not be sure how to make it, but they need to make it. Is there any tools you could offer a leader for that moment of maybe a thought pattern, or some methodology that I would just love to hear how you would coach a leader through that moment? I know I need to make a decision. I'm not sure if I can. I'm not sure if it's mine. Just how do we need to think about it? How do we work through the fog there?
Yeah, I'll use an example probably that comes up a lot with everyone, and it comes up, at least for me, every year. Christmas comes every year, Easter comes every year, back to school comes every year, Mother's Day comes every year, and yet
That's right.
we have the conversation as if it's never happened before. Right? Like,
True.
what
Yes.
service time should we have? What should we bring everybody together? Should we do it separately? Should we do this? Should we add kids? Should we not add kids? Like, you're having the same conversation. I'm like, am I stuck in a time loop? But what I try to do with those conversations as they come up is I try to bring data to support decision making.
Very
So I
good.
go, all right, the last 3 years, the last 5 years, however long you've got data for, let's bring that to the table. Great. These were the times that we used. These were the days that we used. This was the attendance that happened. This is when we had kids. This is when we didn't have kids. So you're making decisions less on emotion and less on feeling and more on data and strategy. And so you go, okay, 2 years ago, we didn't have kids ministry and we had 75 more people in the auditorium. Is that the win? Or were you distracted, Pastor, because too many kids were yelling and screaming and parents were getting up, right? Well, last year we did have kids, which is a lower attendance, but not really that much because only 20 kids went. So parents, regardless of whether we had kids ministry or not, they decided the value was having their kid with them because it's a special Sunday. So what is it when we're going to make this decision on kids ministry or not? What is the win for you? And now that data has been brought to the table, it's easier for not only whoever's at the table,
Very good.
but eventually, ultimately, the lead decision maker can make a better decision based on what you've presented.
Very good. Very good. What we don't want to see is unnecessary hesitation, right? We
Sure.
don't want to see unnecessary paralysis. Don't you agree? Now, I think all these things have to live in tension, but don't you think a pastor would rather slow their team down than try to speed their team up? I mean, I feel like action is rewarded. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I also think you're speaking to such a great problem we have to face as we scale. We have to move on from everything being done for the first time. This is not, to your point, we've not done Easter. This is not the first time we've done Easter. You know, when you're in the earlier days of a church, everything kind of is the first time. So everything is you're figuring it out. But that's actually a major grow up point, is how do we do it? How do we shift from it being done the first time every time to doing it right repetitiously again and again and again? So I don't know if you have any more thoughts on that, but to me, what we don't want paralysis there. We don't want fog there.
Yeah. And you know, I can't remember the leader that did it, but they did the kind of the big rocks scenario where like, oh, here's a fish bowl, and can you fit anything more? You put big rocks in there. Can you fit anything more in here?
Right.
No. Oh, then pebbles, then sand, then water, and you're like, oh, well, I didn't realize I could get that much in there. And I say we got to start with those kind of big rocks when you're planning. And you say Easter comes every year, Christmas comes every year, whatever those major event, maybe it's a back to school event, whatever. Okay, let's start there. We can actually plan those as far in advance. If you want to plan the next 4 Christmases, guess what? Christmas comes every year, you know? So if you can think, make your brain think in advance, then the things that do pop up, the littler, the smaller things that do pop up, you have more room for fixing those. Excellent. You can be more pliable, and you can make sure that those decisions are being made in that way. So I would say wherever there's a place for clarity, start with the clearest thing. And then, you know, it'll help you in those foggy moments.
Very good.
That's so good. I think that does a great deal for your team, and just bringing understanding, kind of what you said earlier, to the why. Like, why do we make these decisions? It's not just of what we feel, but we have actual reasons and data to back up and give clarity to understanding why we do the things that we do. If you can speak to another layer of that, I think that goes beyond understanding to when we talk about decision making, because not all of us have the power to make all the decisions in the organization. And there will come a time where a decision is made that you don't have a voice to speak into, and it's not your place to make the call. And there's going to be a time where maybe it's not just understanding that is the tension, but it's agreement with that decision. What would you say to that young leader who's wrestling with that lack of agreement? Not just clarity, the clarity is there, but there's a lack of agreement, and how to reconcile that?
Yeah, that is a great question and great tension. Right. So what I would say is triple check and give space. Right. I think we think that we like to claim that everything is so fast paced. Oh, we're just in a fast paced environment. We've got to make these decisions. We've got to do this now. We've got to do that. But there is more room for space and process if we allow it. And it doesn't mean that it has to slow things down. I think that you can just set a clear expectation. So if you're in a meeting with your lead pastor or executive pastor or whoever it is, even just a team lead, if you say, all right, I know we need to make this decision, but not everyone is great at making a decision in the moment. So learning that discernment and learning to give space to process, we say, hey, I'm going to follow up by end of day today. I'm going to follow up first thing tomorrow. And I'm going to follow up by end of day tomorrow. If there's any thoughts, if there's any process that needs to happen, we're going to give you some space to think about it. And then but we need to make the decision on, Tuesday by 5 p.m. So if we're in a Monday morning meeting, now I've got enough space to process and triple check. I have triple checked it. We made that decision in the moment, but now that we've thought about it a little bit more, is that still the right decision? Yep, sure is. Great. Everybody on board? Cool. All right, let's think about it just a little bit more. Maybe you've got to have a conversation with another team member. Maybe you've got to run that by kids or students or worship or production. Like, what other conversations? Because not everybody in the room also is part of the execution plan
Right.
of that decision. So what do we need to run down line and then come back? And now we've actually made the best decision because we've triple checked and because we have clarity.
That's so good. I think if anybody's having issues specifically with agreement, I know Leading Second has a lot of podcasts on the difference between agreement and alignment.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
sometimes even if you don't agree that that wall should be blue and you think it should be red, you can still find alignment in the
Right.
overall picture. So
That's great, Jodi.
while
So good.
you're on the podcast today, you said one of the things you oversee at your church's leadership development. And I would love to just kind of pick your brain for a second for all those who are listening. Where do you see like the landscape of leadership development in the local church right now? So not just your church, but just kind of through your network of people that you're connected with. Where do you see the landscape of leadership development right now? Like where do you feel like the church is getting it right? And maybe what are some challenges that have popped up in your mind?
Yeah.
Great.
I I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm not sure if the church is getting it right. I think the more that I talk to people,
We got to
right,
do something about that, Ken.
I know we're trying to
Yeah.
fix this. Leading Second is trying to make this happen. Go to Leading Second camp if you haven't signed up, next year, whenever it
It
is.
happened. It happened a couple weeks ago.
Preload, you know what I mean? Like preload for what you prepare, like I said, for what's going to happen. So I would say that leadership development is more of a process than a program. And right now we have too many programs. And that's why I jokingly say, I'm not sure the church is getting it right, because we think that oftentimes it's a 6-week class, or it's read this book or listen to this podcast. And all those are great ancillary things. Ultimately, leadership is a process, and you're never going to arrive. It's always going to be discovery, and it's always going to be development. And it's not something that I came up with. It's just something that I see in Jesus's life, right? He's like, all right, I'm going to grab these guys together. I'm going to spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with them for 3 years,
Right.
and they're still going to get it wrong. And it's because it's a process. And he sends the Holy Spirit to continue to guide us in that process. So it's never done, but somehow along the way we've gotten into this, like, oh, well, just take this class, or just read these 4 things, or if I spend more one-on-one meetings with you, then you'll suddenly get it. And I think proximity is a big piece of what I learned about Christ as well. And I try to just bring people with me, and to get them in my brain, to get them in my space, to give them just practical, real life experience. We recently just had a funeral, or someone passed away. We've got a funeral coming up in our congregation. And I just brought one of our student directors with me and said, hey, sit with me, sit with the family. This is the process. This is what's going on. I went to her bedside and prayed over her. Like, this is what you're doing. This is what care looks like. This is what shepherding looks like.
Yes,
This is what
yes.
the process looks like. I'm not just going to send you a book or send you my outline for what it looks like to lead a
Right.
family through the most difficult thing that they can go through. And there's not a class for that. So I think that process over programs is something that we just need to get better at.
Okay.
You're bringing up one of my favorite things about my pastor. I was on our staff for a number of years, and then he's continued to allow me space to be on our team. Beyond that, even in our role with Leading Second. And what I would say is never, ever, not one time ever, over the years, Jodi, I think you'd say this is fair. Maybe your experience is different, but for me, never, ever, not one time ever did we sit down and he go, okay, today I'm going to mentor you.
Right.
Pull out your pen,
Mhm.
that never happened over like 20 years. That never happened. But what he did is he let me sit on his message planning team for years. And he let me sit in Saturday night debrief for years, after Saturday night church. And I think my thinking got so formed in those moments because I was just proximity. It's the
Yeah.
width factor,
Yep.
and I just think your point is brilliant, and it's missed in so many places. Jodi, am I saying heresy here about our church? I just don't feel like it was ever that formal.
No,
It was proximity.
Yeah, it was caught more than, I mean, there was a lot of teaching. And so,
Right.
there was a lot of things that we were expected, that we were taught to catch. Right. But there was also this other whole side of it of just catching it, like taught versus caught. It's both. There's teaching that happens and you need to take notes and it's announced. But then there's this whole other side of it that, you said so beautifully, Ken, that it's a process, not a program. It's proximity, not an outline. And it's having the audacity to just listen and learn and apply it. And, even if you don't have the ears to hear it,
very good.
You're not going to hear it. If you don't have the eyes to see it, you're not going to see it. But if you flip the switch and you open up your eyes and look for those moments, and you open up your ears and you listen for those moments, what you're saying is gold. You're gonna, as a young leader, you're gonna learn that leadership development just by being in the airspace. Right. And that's how discipleship happens too. It's not just leadership development. I think that's how discipleship happens.
Yeah, I think sometimes we put a timeline on something that is not really time-based. And we say, in 2 months, you're going to be a leader, or in 6 months, you're going to be a leader. And I said, you could be a leader in a week, but I've got to be able to assess that in real time. And I think that's where you find things can be a little bit more fluid. That's why I say that it's not a program. That Very leader good. Can show out and be awesome. And if you say, well, they got 5 more months of leadership development, well, now you're slowing down the opportunity that is in front of them and in front of you. So I think it can go both ways. It also could take somebody 3 year. Well, if you put them in a 6-month process, you go, okay, well, now you've bailed on them too soon. And now you've moved on to another leader where they could have been phenomenal for you if you just spent a little bit more time investing into them.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Gosh, we're at time, and
time disappears.
We're just like in the intro to this conversation, because to me, this is the place where people live, and these are the tensions we navigate. And I'm really thankful that you spent some time exploring these with us today. I think you're going to need to come back for a part 2 or something.
I'm up for it. Let's do it
and help us keep doing it. But I hope if you're watching, listening to this today, I hope that what we've done is we've shown you, you're not crazy. These are very well-known tensions of the second chair, probably more of a tension you'll manage over the course of time rather than a problem you'll solve. And so I pray this has helped give some language and some handles for you to grab onto as you navigate walking as an empowered leader. We want to see empowerment deep in our churches, but it's going to take some commitments on behalf of all of us. So thank you, Ken. Love having you on the podcast today. Please come back soon and talk with us. We're grateful for you and your voice, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jodi. Thank you, Joseph. Glad you guys are here today. Leading Second, we love you. We're so thankful to have this time with you every week, whether you're driving down the road or in the gym or whatever you're doing right now. I pray that the Holy Spirit has given you wisdom for where you're at. We love you. Until next week, Leading Second, let's run strong for the kingdom and lead in an uncommon way together. God bless you.
It's our honor to serve churches and leaders across the globe. We equip ministry leaders with the coaching, events, and resources needed to embrace their calling, get it right with their pastor, and lead in an uncommon way. Visit our website, leadingsecond.com, to learn how we can come alongside you as you lead from the middle, from the second chair for the second chair.